What's up, fans? Welcome back once again. It is time to talk all things movie trivia. Let's get classy with this week in the First Class League. Once again, this week we are unfortunately not going to be joined by our super producer, Chris Barnes, and Ryan Permison is off this week. So Keith and I thought we needed a little help talking about all the matches. Who better to talk about them, of course, than the participants in the matches themselves. We've got Kat and Sonny joining us here on This Week in the FCL for a great conversation, and I'm dressed to the nines. My friends across the pond tell me it's football season, so as you can see, I'm wearing my Lions hat. Let's get right on into it and talk Star Wars, Innergeekdom, The Flouse, and all other things, just as we always do. Going to break it down for you right here on This Week in the FCL. And welcome, fans. Thank you once again for joining us. As always, we have a great time when you come and have a little time, spend it with us about the FCL. We're talking about some great matches. It's Star Wars, which I know has a lot of you out there excited. It's Innergeekdom, which has me pumped. I'm a big Innergeekdom fan, and it's very rare I get to say this. We've got not one, but two victorious competitors joining us today. As always, of course, my co-host Keith Kilduff is here, but I want to say hello first. Welcome to both of our wonderful guests, Kat and Sonny. Congratulations and welcome to This Week in the FCL.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us, and thank you for congratulating us. I think we're still getting used to the thought that, oh wait, we actually won those matches. So yeah, but let's we're ready to talk about it either way.
Well, I know that feeling. I did a few movie trivia matches myself back in the day, and winning did take a while for me. So it's a surprise when it happens, but always a pleasant one. Keith, I want to say real quick to you, welcome back. I know we sometimes don't get along 100%, but you recently took yourself a little vacation. I hope you're well rested and you've gotten rid of some of those silly thoughts you used to have about the competitors and the way the league is run and all the things that you get wrong every week. But welcome back. How was your time off?
I got rid of some things, and the main thing that I got rid of was that pain in the ass that you can be sometimes to me for a few days. That kind of helped me just kind of relax and kind of breathe. But no, listen, I had a lovely vacation. Thank you for asking.
Well, I'm glad that you got to spend some time out there and you got to learn a few new things. And this week we were learning a few new things about the FCL as well. As always, now that we have our guests here, we're going to be talking about everything that happened. We will be breaking down the matches. We will be talking about what's coming up next week. But we always like to begin by talking about the news, everything that's going on in the First Class League and what it means moving forward. So let's get right on into it and discuss some of those news items. If you're okay with that, Keith.
Whatever you want, Andrew. It's your show.
I'm working very hard to make that true, but you keep fighting me on that one. All right, guys. So let's take a look first. As this show started, we've got some exciting matches coming our way, and we're all pumped. We're jazzed. We're ready to go to a galaxy far, far away and down into a place under the hills before you go on a long and unexpected journey. But before we got into the matches, we saw some great promo work from our competitors. We saw something coming up that, I was very excited about. Brad Gilmore is reaching out. He needs some help with a problem that, Brad, I'm just going to say it, was a little self-inflicted. You got to read those contracts, my man. So he's got the flouse. He's the champion. What's he going to do about it? Well, who better to talk to than this man, a great in the world of wrestling, the five-time, and I'm contractually obligated to say it one more time, five-time world heavyweight champ himself, Booker T, is in. This is an exciting development. I can't wait to see what's going to go on, and I don't think the Flouse knew what he was in for. Keith, I know you got an opinion on this, but we've got two great guests here, so let's talk to both of them. Kat, Sonny, you were watching. You were sitting there waiting for your matches. I'm sure the excitement was boiling. You had other things that you had to concern yourselves with, but this had to be something that got you a little bit jacked up. I mean, Booker T's a legend.
Yeah, man. I mean, come on. It's been a while. I feel like since we've just seen Booker T. There was a point where he was he was there often, with the Schmoedown. We got to see him and hear from him fairly often, and just we know the relationship between Brad and Booker T. So it was great to see Brad, with now that Flaus is the champion and that whole thing happened and not reading the contracts. He could probably use a hand, and who better than the 5-time champion Booker T. So that was unexpected, but brought a smile to my face nonetheless. And I'm just curious to see what sort of impact that's going to have on the league, and especially when in regards to the Flaus.
All right. And Keith, you were watching closely during this promo. I'm sure you have some thoughts.
Yeah, listen, I think to me, it felt only a matter of time before we got a Booker appearance of some description, whether it be on the desk in a cutscene or something like that. The fact that Brad has this feeling that he needs to go to Booker to fix the Flaus issue means that there's an awful lot of tasty stuff coming down the line. I am curious to see how the Flaus thing is going to be resolved. Is it in the trivia ring, or is it going to be in the wrestling ring? God only knows. But no, listen, it's great to see Booker involved in the FCL. It just kind of adds another layer of just gravitas to the league.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It will be, if we can say one thing about it for certain, exciting. Booker T, definitely. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to bring a lot of excitement, a lot of energy to any particular experience, whether it's movie trivia or in the wrestling ring. So he's on his way to help out Brad. He's been tagged in, and he's coming after the Flaus. But let's continue to talk about the news, as he's not the only one. The clown car has opened, the circus has begun, and the parade is marching down the street as we got not one, but two, but three different competitors all sending their messages out to the Flaus. We've got David Campbell, we've got Maxwell Haddad, and we've got Travis Fishburne, each and every one saying, Flaus, look out, I'm coming for you. Keith, in the world of the FCL right now, it seems like as much as they may hate him, as much as all the competitors complain, there is a center of the FCL universe. His name is the Flirtin' Flaus, and his gravity is pulling in every single person around him. I mean, he's got a lot to deal with. What's going to happen with everybody gunning for this one wonderful voice of an angel man?
I mean, I thought it was beautiful that Travis Fishburne knew all of the awards and recognition that the Flaus had in his entire career. But I suppose Sonny and Kat, like, we're Europeans, we know the Flaus. We've grown up on the Flaus. Have you got all his albums? What's your opinion of his work overall?
I know that at least my parents used to own a bunch of his albums, and I think I've gone on record before and saying that I'm not the biggest fan of the Flaus, and it's purely because I'm just fed up, guys. I'm fed up with the Flaus. I've been so for a long time, and when he started, making his way into the Schmoedown, it was like, oh God, he's going to be a part of this as well. Just infiltrating every part of my life, it seems like, and now he's talking about is the Flaus League, and it's just someone knock him off that pedestal and let's get him out of here. I mean, come on. Sorry, normally I'm so kind and I try to accept everyone, but the Flaus is just it's just too much sometimes. It's too much.
All right, well, that's not just one competitor who's not liking you, Flaus. It looks like it stacks up every single day. There's somebody else saying that they want you gone, and you can add to that number our lovely friend Sonny here, who just said, Flaus, that you don't belong where you are. I, of course, humbly disagree, as I always do, but that's not all the news that happened this week in the FCL. We've got one more thing, and this, I believe, Keith, may be the most important news item of all. First, we found out that Booker T might be showing up in the FCL sometime real soon, and that got me excited. Then we find out that everybody is raising their swords, getting ready for the gladiatorial battle and coming for the Flaus. And that, too, gets you pumped up and fired up the way the First Class League always does. But the most important news of all in our third and final promo that we saw before the show started. That's right. It appears that Chris Adams has put on his tie, and apparently he's got something on his upper lip, some sort of dirt or something. I don't know what it was, but it's an exciting development, and we have to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hell of a tie. You know, it's a white tie. It's a strong look. It's a different look. As for the growth, chicken feed with a bit of water, kind of what it looked like. Yeah. I don't know what to say, Andrew. I mean, you've got to find little Maine there going. Maybe you should give him some tips.
I mean, for in my case, Keith, the secret, and it's very important that you pay attention to this. It's a lot of care, a lot of effort, and what I do is I just don't cut it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what else to tell you. I do know, and I can say this to you, Chris Adams, you're a fine competitor. You are, of course, a gentleman. I love your work in the FCL, but I couldn't grow a beard in my early 20s either, so don't worry too much about it. Kat, Sonny, what do you think about the style, the verve, the outfit, and of course, the brand new facial accoutrement of the gentleman?
Well, at least he wears pants. So
Yeah, that's good. At least he's wearing pants. That's always a plus. And I mean, if he feels confident in his new getup, if it's gonna make him more confident in the matches, gonna get him more wins, then good for him. Is all I have to say. And I don't know about the adolescent caterpillar he's got going on there, but it's working on it.
Chris Adams, of course, we know you are one of our favorite competitors. We enjoy watching you every week. But, I mean, I don't know, maybe a Sharpie, darken it up a little bit, at least for the first few days till it fills in. Who knows? We'll see if something comes out of this. Exciting things. Booker T, yes, absolutely wonderful. The Flouse in danger. Everybody gunning for him. Yes, this is going to lead to some great things. And Chris Adams, the real question, will it fill in? Will a full mustache appear? We'll find that and so much more out as the FCL continues. That's all the news that's fit to print. But that doesn't mean we're done talking, because right now, with our two wonderful guests, we're going to talk to them both about the matches they competed in as we talk about all the action that happened on this week's show.
FCL 15 moved away from the singles division as we split 50-50 between Innergeekdom for the first time this season, and Star Wars came back. Captain Sonny, I suppose the first question before we kind of get into the matches that you guys played this week, the one thing that I would love to know from your perspective is, obviously at the start of the season you guys were on the draft board. Unfortunately, you didn't get picked up, and then a little later on you're signed to the FCL. At the point at which you knew that the FCL was coming, your training methods, do you still remain within kind of like Schmoedown level, or because it's the FCL and it's a little bit more developmental, do you pull back in terms of kind of the levels and layers that you're studying, or is it just we're driving straight on as if we're in the big leagues?
Well, I guess when it comes to Innergeekdom, at least, like, you didn't know about like the difficulty level, like what was going to be Innergeekdom wise. So I reckon for you it was pretty much like if you were gonna study up for Schmoedown FCL, it's same thing at that point, at least.
Approximately, yeah. So just like getting certain buzzwords or like certain details, like get them down, and just of course I got the list of wheel slices, so I could kind of narrow it down to focusing on a few select categories. So that definitely made it a little bit easier. But it was still like, the good thing is that it's not as narrow as like 12 movies and
3 television series.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not as big as that, or like this narrow, yeah. So it's not as detailed as that. So that's a good thing about it. But the bad thing is there's definitely categories where it's like I have not seen any of these movies, but
you still may do with it. Yeah. And for me with Star Wars, it was, I watched the first 2 Star Wars matches in the FCL, so I could kind of gauge like what the difficulty level was going to be there, but I still kind of got surprised because PLD, he definitely upped the difficulty there with some of the questions, both in round 1, 2, and 3. So I probably pulled back a little bit and was just focusing on some of the more general stuff, because I thought that was where the difficulty level was going to be. But now I know better going forward. I know what stuff to focus on. I know I'm talking like I lost a match or something, but I still have to improve because I did miss some questions, which I don't want to do next time around.
Okay, well, we'll brush over very briefly the ones that you both missed. But listen, let's get into the IG match. Keetin Marchi making her debut, making her return to kind of the Schmoedown universe. Round number 1 finishes 6-3 to you, Kat. You missed 2 questions, unfortunately. The Marvel, this David Banner and Ang Lee's Hulk being Nick Nolte, and then you both missed the Star Trek question, which I think is a really, really good question. This: how many films involve the crew of Next Generation? It's not a director, it's not a location, it's not an actor, it's not an actress. It's a very specific piece of detail, and that's what kind of differentiates Innergeekdom, I suppose, from like singles and teams and all of that. 6-3, you must have been feeling very, very confident though, like with a solid enough round.
Yeah, absolutely. I was, as Sonny just said before, I had no prior knowledge to the difficulty level, but after round 1, I kind of felt the difficulty level, like I kind of I could tell much more. Well, how it was gonna be, and from there on, I was just like, I missed 3 questions out of all of the questions. Like in all 3 rounds, I missed 3 questions, and one of them, the Star Trek one, I actually knew it, but I was like double counting one of the movies, and I was just like, I was so mad. You know that I wrote it down, the answer, and there was like something is like there must be something I'm missing, and it turns out there wasn't. It was just yeah, should have stuck with it, but yeah. But doesn't matter in the end.
But I suppose these are things that you can take and kind of like go back to the well almost, and being like, when you're in that position again, you know not to do what you did, or you know how to kind of go about it in a different way. But I suppose, Andrew, it's a rough round for Keetin, unfortunately. There's a couple of misses here, not knowing Michael Gambon, not knowing Nick Nolte, not knowing Jesse Eisenberg. A couple of kind of like just kind of basic kind of, I don't want to say basic actor knows that you should know. But 6-3, what were your overall thoughts on round number 1?
Well, round number 1 is an impressive round for our wonderful friend Kat. Kat, you had a pretty good round coming out and a few misses, nothing to really be ashamed of. Maybe there's some nerves hopping into the match. Maybe you just didn't think it through properly. And I guarantee you, I would have got that TNG question wrong as well, even as a huge Star Trek fan, because I always try to forget Insurrection, so I would have said 3. That being said, of course, we have 2 competitors, and it really is a tale of 2 different competitors, 2 different stories. For Kat, you can tell me if I'm wrong about this, but it feels kind of like a takeoff on a rival. It's like another famous Dane appearing for the first time, like Mads Mikkelsen in Casino Royale, or at least the first time I saw him. I was incredibly impressed. I thought there's a lot going on here, and I can't wait to see what we have coming forward. Even in this first round, you could see good knowledge, good confidence, not taking too much time, but also not necessarily jumping ahead on the questions. And that's where I want to swing when I go to the other side with Keetin Marchi, because, you know, I love Keatin's attitude. I love the enthusiasm, the energy that Keetin brings up. I'm the guy who likes everybody who's mean and angry in this league, and even I can't get mad when Keatin's on screen because she's just a bundle full of joy. But she has one problem, and if she has one problem at all in this matchup, it's that she's just in her own head so much. She jumps on the question. She answers as fast as she can, and the moment she thinks the question is out, that she thinks she can't get it, she forgets about repeat, she forgets about really locking in, or even trying to take that reasonable guess. I think we're going to see that a few times throughout the match. It's a lot of energy, and I don't know if it's directed in the right way to get the win. That said, couple of tough misses here, but Keetin still keeping it happy, keeping it smiley. Like I said, you've got to love somebody who has a great attitude moving forward into the matchup. And 3 points, not an insurmountable lead. So out of round number 1, I still thought this could go either way, but we'll see that it pretty much stays the same for the rest of the match.
So let's move into round number 2. Our wheel comes up. There's a couple of dangerous categories on it in terms of an opponent's choice. There's a mixed bag. There's a who said it. God only knows what that could potentially have been had it come up. It doesn't. You go first on your first spin. Wizarding World is what comes up. You decide to take it. You go 7 of 8. You go check down the multiple choice in the first question, which is the Hogwarts founder that Voldemort couldn't obtain a Horcrux from. Was that just a damage limitation in case I guess it wrong? and that Keetin can pick it up. That at least if I go to multiple choice, I know what the 4 options are.
Yeah, I knew that it was Gryffindor. I just couldn't remember his first name, and I was afraid that if I just said Gryffindor, it was not sufficient. So I had to get his name right, and by that, that's why I opted to multiple choice, because I just needed his first name to be sure that I got the point. Because and why I chose to the category and to stay with it was because I knew that it was like Keetin was gunning for this one. And me landing on it, I was just thinking, better her than me. Oh, sorry, other way around. Better me than her.
And then also, I suppose you guys are training with David Campbell, who, as we know, is a big Wizarding World person. So I'm sure he has been helping you just kind of brush up on a few little details here and there. But you don't have to say anything.
It's, details, yeah. But I do have a very solid knowledge base of Harry Potter, because I grew up with Harry Potter. Like, it was my thing. And so it's not that far off. It's just, as you say, it's just brushing off and details and stuff like that, because he's still a lot better than I am about like Wizarding World, but it's like I'd say I'm pretty good at it still.
Definitely. So you go 6 of 6 for the last 3. Zoe Kravitz comes up in Crimes of Grindelwald. Norbert is the name of the dragon in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, and then Beatrix Lestrange is the person who kills Dobby. 14-3 at this stage. Yes, Andrew?
I believe it's pronounced Bellatrix.
My apologies. I am not very good with the names of these things, Andrew. And
that's fine. We'll have a Star Wars match to talk about later, Ed. I'll be doing the other thing.
Yeah, and Sonny, in advance, I apologize for all the butchering of all the names in all the Star Wars movies.
No worries.
So it is 14-3 to Keetin. Needs a big spin. Gets spinner's choice. She's very unsure as to what to pick. Goes with Middle Earth. Goes 3 of 8 overall. Gandalf the White is what he's known as in his first question. Goes down to multiple choice on the move release date of the Battle of the Five Armies. Misses the director of the original 78 Lord of the Rings. Cat, you pick up a 1-point steal on the multiple choice. And then you both unfortunately missed the Fellowship Bilbo's birthday. You're out by 10 in the end. It's 14-6. Kat, you must have been feeling very, very confident that you're going to see it out from here.
Yeah.
Andrew, it's a rough round for Keetin, but still trying to fight, still trying to get herself back into it.
Very rough round. Obviously, somebody who has a lot of energy like Keetin, somebody who's trying their absolute hardest to drive through and get those necessary points to close that gap and make it a real puncher's brawl, a shot for shot kind of situation, at least a little bit closer coming into round number 3. You feel bad when it doesn't happen. But again, I think for Keetin, and it's not me trying to put anybody down, but I think the same problem I talked about in that first round comes up. It's a lot of excitement, a lot of energy, and maybe not a lot of planning exactly what you need to do. I don't know about any competitor, but I think if you have a slice on the wheel, as Kat said, you knew that Harry Potter was one that Keetin was going to want. You took it off the wheel, and now Keetin spends spinner's choice and hems and haws and takes a little bit of time deciding what to pick. Competitors, if you're going out there, I could be wrong. I could be just talking the talk that I do every week, but you really should know what your second choice is for spinner's choice, just in case. And I think that's the kind of lack that we saw again. Great competitor, a lot of fun, but you don't know what you're looking for. You miss a few things. You can't even get the 11st birthday and pass those points off as well. In the end, I just think Keatin's not looking good coming out of this round. It's an understatement at best to say that. Not looking at all good. 8 points behind means you just have to hit everything. And odds are, with a decent opponent, someone who's been performing as well as Kat did in the first 2 rounds of this match, I think you count yourself out. You cross your fingers, you answer everything you can moving forward, and you hope against hope. But I think at this point, everybody kind of knew what was going on with the result of the match.
Yeah.
So let's move into round 3. It's all on Keetin. Her 2-pointer is in mixed bag. Again, a very broad category, trying to come up with an answer. What artifact is in the after in the Last Crusade? The Holy Grail, gets that wrong, kind of very quickly answering, unfortunately, and then it's all on her 3. She has to hit it. Transformers, the actress of Charlie Watson in Bumblebee, uses her 3 repeats. To be fair to her, doesn't leave any time out on the field. Can't come up with Haley Steinfeld. And your winner, TKO, top of the mountain. Kat, you must be feeling great in yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's as you said, it's kind of sad to see, because we all love Keetin, so it's for me it's a bit bittersweet because I like her so much, and I just like, yeah,
It was a shame to see, and especially from a competitor who has been in the big leagues, so to say, before in the Schmoedown, has competed in there and has had some good matches as well, where she's answered a bunch of questions. But I do think, just like you guys are saying, this was a case of just jumping the gun, maybe not preparing that much when it comes to, okay, strengths, weaknesses, what is my first and second choice on the wheel, making sure that, Kat already mentioned it, we do get the wheel categories a little bit beforehand so that we can just focus on those a little bit and we know some of what to expect. Maybe she didn't do that either, or maybe she wasn't ready for just the amount of knowledge that she was gonna face from Kat. I don't know, but I do hope that we see her again and that she's gonna learn from this experience and just be more prepared next time around. Because personality wise, she's definitely there.
Definitely, Andrew. I suppose. Listen, Ring Rust. She's been out of. Keaton's been out of the game for about 2 years or so, and maybe just kind of getting. The last time she played, she was in studios. Maybe the whole kind of like the digital format. She's in her home answering questions. There might be a little bit of that in, so I'm just kind of throwing that out there as well.
I don't disagree, not even a little bit. And I think everything that we've said, it just bears repeating. Keetin, perhaps a few misses here. Keetin, if I could throw out one basic piece of advice, maybe find the wheel out in advance. If you might have already done this, I don't know about your prep, but if you didn't this time, get that wheel and maybe run through the IMDb cast list, because it seemed like actors was a big problem for Keetin in this matchup. A lot of times that was where the stumble was. Couldn't come up with the name of the person starring in it, all the way down to the final question with Haley Steinfeld. Obviously, some of the earlier ones, some of the same problems. But we love, Keetin, your enthusiasm. We want to see you succeed. Everybody absolutely does. Can't wait to see you come back. In this case, I don't think that maybe a little less nerves, whatever it is that threw her off, if that had been gone, I still think there's an uphill battle for Keetin in this matchup, because Kat, as I said, performing very, very strongly, putting up a lot of points. And the way it was going, I foresee at least 5 points coming down in round number 3 for Kat as well. So I think this matchup, as I said, was really closed out at the end of round 2. But Keetin, we love you. Can't wait to have you back. Kat, congratulations once again to you on a very, very impressive victory over Keetin Marchi. You do come away with the W. You are moving forward as, I believe, one of the very first Innergeekdom competitors with a winning record in the FCL. That's got to feel good as well. And in the end, I think it's a stellar debut. Wonderful to see Keetin coming back. And I would love to see either of these competitors in a matchup again real soon. We'll have to see what Brad has to say about that.
Definitely.
Kat, there's another Innergeekdom match on next Tuesday, which we'll break down later on in the show. Would you be keen to take on the winner of that?
Depends.
Yeah, you will. Come on.
I want to, because some of these people I haven't really, like for Keetin, I at least had some sort of like footage I could actually prepare for, or like, I could
use
study.
Against. Yeah.
Yeah, and these two competitors, I've seen what they did in FCL just in the singles division, but in Innergeekdom, I have no idea what level they're at, if I can even compete with them. So I have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Just how good they are. If they're going perfect, both of them, I don't think I would want to.
You can do that. You can do that as well. Definitely. Just a little bit more studying and
more studying.
more studying. But yeah, like Schmo in particular, and I can talk about Schmo because I played him in the singles division and I lost against Schmo. He is a very knowledgeable competitor, and I do believe he has said multiple times before that he's more comfortable within a geekdom than he is singles even. And if he's going perfect in the singles division, well, yeah, I'm expecting for him to do pretty well in Innergeekdom, but we'll see. We'll see. It's next week.
Definitely. So listen, let's move on to the Star Wars match involving yourself, Sonny. Obviously, you have a bit of game tape coming into this, having seen Matthew face off against Ross from nowhere. Was there much there that you could kind of take moving into this, or was it very much sort of like, I need to kind of go pretty much perfect here?
Well, it is Star Wars, so there is some sort of, I don't know if I want to call it an expectation to go perfect, but there is that pressure, at least, that you cannot miss that many questions in Star Wars, otherwise you're done. And with Matthew, I knew that he was a very strong competitor. I did not underestimate that guy. Like, the only question that he really missed in his first match was a small screen Star Wars question. So I kind of knew that if I had the opportunity to, like, if he had spun opponent's choice, I might have given him small screen Star Wars, even though he did say in his interview before the match that he tried to watch as much small screen Star Wars as possible. But preparation wise, study wise for myself, it was more about, where's my knowledge at? What do I need to focus on? Where are my weaknesses? And I focused a lot on that, covering my weaknesses. And I said it during the matches as well. It's you against the questions. Yes, there is an opponent there, but in Star Wars in particular, I believe it is you against the questions, and you have to keep calm, and you have to remember all those little details spread across those 12 movies and now 3 television series. So it wasn't easy, but yeah, now, and we're about to go through the match, there were a few surprises there and turns along the way.
Definitely. So listen, let's get into round 1, end 7-7. You both missed the Last Jedi question, which is what 3 characters are mentioned in the crawl. Snoke, Leia, and Luke being the answer. You say Rey. Matthew says Kylo Ren. I actually thought that it was Kylo Ren because obviously the crawl leads into the first scene, which is Kylo attacking the last Starfleet, whatever the name of the carrier is. Apologies. Again, not a Star Wars guy. Apologies in advance. Completely, everybody. But I think there's some nice questions in here. Obviously, Obi-Wan is the person who goes to search for Grievous. Donnie Yen's character, needing to know the character name. What in Empire, Luke says, I don't believe it. Needing to know what Yoda did. The physical appearance of Darth Maul. Jango Fett is asked. And then obviously this small screen Star Wars question, the Caleb Doom question of Karen Jarrus. Again, apologies if I'm butchering these. Really, really sorry. But 7-7. Good start all in all. I'd say you must have been happy enough once you kind of shook off the miss to just kind of get settled into it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad he missed it as well. Because that was definitely a jump difficulty wise. I believe it was the 3rd question. That was the Last Jedi call question. And I was a little bit taken aback with that. I was like, oh, wow, okay, so a little bit more difficult than what I remember from the first 2 matches. And I actually had the right answer written down on my board, and I convinced myself that, no, I do believe Rey is in there as well. I had Luke, I had Leia, then Snoke, and then I crossed out Snoke and put in Rey instead. Shouldn't have done that, but now I will never forget.
Andrew, definitely the heat was turned up question-wise in round 1 of this Star Wars match in comparison with the couple that we had on May the 4th.
Certainly, it absolutely was. Obviously, the Star Wars division, you never really know quite how deep it's going to get. As Kat, you mentioned in the Innergeekdom match, sometimes because it's a little more of a specific field, because you're narrowing down to 300 or whatever movies, you can get a little more specific. When you're talking about Star Wars and it's all the way down into what, like a dozen, maybe 15 different things in total that you're really, really looking at, those questions are going to be deep cuts. And I got to say, both competitors, they make some great answers. I wouldn't have known most of this stuff because I'm not a Star Wars guy like you are, Kat, like you are, Sonny. Star Wars person, Star Wars anything. I'm the one who forgets all these names. I find it surprising that none of the new characters were in one of the crawls. That's a very tough question, and I think both competitors, and Sonny, you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, had to be breathing a big sigh of relief when the miss happened, seeing that their opponent missed as well, because that is a big thing in round one, especially when you're talking about 7 points for both competitors. Otherwise, that means this wasn't necessarily just a 1 point question. This could have been that bonus question as well, 2 point swing, which in this game can be a massive gap as you get closer to the third round. So well played, well handled, and I'm not surprised that that question was a miss for both competitors because, again, I just find it surprising none of the new characters in the crawl at all in one of the sequels. Bit strange. Great round. Can't wait for more of it. Let's just jump right into round two, Keith.
So listen, round two, wheel comes up. Again, there's a few interesting slices here. Quotes is always a dangerous one from an opponent's choice point of view. Jedi Order is there, planets and locations, and then a few movies to kind of round it out. Sonny, you decide you want to spin first. Return of the Jedi comes up. You decide to take it, and you go 8 for 8. Chewbacca being the person who triggers the Ewok trap. Then the kind of a little bit of a challenge needed on the second one, which member of the team is put on the fire by the Ewoks. You say Han, Luke, and Chewie because they're all put on the fire. Isn't that the piece? But obviously Brad felt that there was only one that was needed. You decide to challenge, the question is thrown out, and then the deflector shield quote question is asked in its place. You say Emperor Palpatine, lovely stuff, we're moving along. Who is in command of the Death Star at the start of the movie? You get this one wrong. Apologies for what I said previous. You say Darth Vader, and then you kind of know straight away what the answer was. Matthew picks up a 2 point steal, and then you round out your round with the how old is Yoda, 900 years. What was kind of going through your mind that you kind of jumped straight to Vader, or was it just like, surely it just has to be Vader?
Well, first off, I landed on Return of the Jedi, and I probably, ideally, I should have spun again. I should have asked for a respin because, or for another spin, because that's what I realized while I was in the middle of round two. It's been a little while since I watched Return of the Jedi, and that's why I messed those questions up, or I missed those questions, was because it's been a while, and I was just trying to remember. Okay, the start of the Return of the Jedi, the first thing that happens in that movie is Vader arriving at the Death Star, and then I couldn't pull, the right answer immediately, and I jumped the gun and said Darth Vader instead. That was a miss. And then the challenge there, I'm glad I challenged it, because to me the question was a little bit unclear whether it was they were asking for, all the people who actually was getting ready or being made ready for the feast. But I also did know that the first one, like the first person on the fire, was Han. And I said that as well. He's the first one up there. He's trying to blow out the flames. And that's why they decided to give me a new question instead, because it was just, didn't want to. It could have gone either way. And I think it was PLD who made the final decision that, no, okay, let's just ask him another question, which fortunately I got that one. But that round was very important to me in terms of going forward, because I mentioned this before. I was focusing heavily on my weaknesses when I was studying, and that was more the sequel trilogy and the newer movies. That was my weakness, because I hadn't seen those movies as many times. They're not exactly my favorites either. So I knew I had to do the deep dive into something like The Rise of Skywalker or Solo. And I did that, and I covered those weaknesses. But I also need to remember the movies that I love and that I've grown up with, and I need to keep watching those as well. So I need to the deep dive I did for the newer movies, I need to do that for all of them, obviously. It just takes a lot of time to do that. But hopefully I have the time before my next match. But yeah, it was an important round for me, just learning about myself and studying.
So it comes up to Matthew. Spins first, gets revenge at the Sith. He also goes 6 of 8. The first question being, who tells Anakin fear of loss is the path to the dark side? It's Yoda. And then you get your steal back, Sonny. So this is how X dies with thunderous applause. He says democracy. And in kind of in the same way as you were like, now I know it, you say liberty, get your 2 points steal back. And then kind of things are evened out again. He sees out the round. What has Grievous done with Palpatine in the Crawl and kidnapped, and then who kills Grievous? Obi-Wan. 15-15. Andrew, couple of mistakes, but corrected as well, and we're back to where we were after round 1.
Once again, it's an even round for both competitors, real back and forth. Obviously, we have the comparison steals here, both players taking some points off of their opponent, both players scoring up fairly nicely and staying with each other every step of the way. Now, as I said, I'm not the biggest Star Wars person in the world, but I will say, based on everything I've heard so far, yes, I highly recommend go back and watch those original Star Wars movies anytime you want to. They do hold up. They are wonderful. Absolutely worth anybody's time, and that I will never argue against. For Matthew, he's a Canadian like me. He does the right thing. He's polite and nice and genteel about stuff. Let me tell you, Matthew, my friend, next time they give you a question you know the answer to, don't tell them it's wrong. Just answer the damn question. I don't know what you were thinking right there. And Sonny, I am a man who's not necessarily the biggest Star Wars fan, but I am a man of strong opinions, so it would be remiss if I didn't say it, and you already said it a bit yourself about the challenge. It could have gone either way. Now, you listen to the show. That means you know that I am a big proponent of the strategy, of the challenges, of using your JTs correctly. And I applaud you for throwing out a challenge, getting it in there, and getting the new question. But I really do think that this was a borderline case for the challenge. The wording of the question, as I watched it back, who is put over the fire as the main course, I think that could have easily gone against you. So I will just say you were lucky to get the ruling that you did. It kept you close. I don't know if that challenge goes through every time, but kudos for taking the time to make the challenge, understanding that the odds of another question coming up later in the match when you're halfway through round 2 that you're going to need that challenge on are fairly small. And if it does come up, you just got to fight through it using your other methods if you've lost your challenge, your JTs, etc. So very good strategic play. And I think a lucky break for you, Sonny, which will, of course, pay some great dividends in round number 3.
Oh, yes.
Kat, you're sitting in the back, champagne on ice, feet up, enjoying your victory. What was going through your mind watching this?
I said nothing like that. I was completely I was basically sitting like a crazy person, just just praying to my science gods that he was doing all right.
So listen, let's move into round 3. It's a bit of ping pong on the first couple. Sonny, you're asked your 2 in the Rise of Skywalker. What does Poe do with the Falcon, the light speed skipping piece? That was heavily, I think, in the trailers, from what I'm led to believe. Matthew replies with his 2, who gives Finn his new name in The Force Awakens. Poe. Then your 3 is in vehicles, tech, weaponry in The New Hope, when discussing how to take down the Death Star pilots. They need to use the photon blasters or the photon missiles. Then Matthew's 3, planets and locations. You're getting kind of very, very similar. You're both getting a sequel trilogy 2, and then a very kind of like specific 3. The Han Solo's birthplace gets that, and then it's all on the 5s. Your Empire question being, according to C-3PO R2-D2, what are the chances of Luke and Han surviving outside the base on Hoth? You say 100-1, I believe, after 2 repeats. The answer being 725-1. Was it just something that you just couldn't pull?
Yeah, basically, like I knew it was something to 1, and I knew it wasn't 100-1, but I didn't want to be like, I don't have an answer, so I thought, okay, I might as well just throw something out there. But yeah, that was a tough 5-pointer. Especially when it comes to something like that. It's just remembering numbers. I'm not good with numbers. I was not good at math at all in school. So remembering anything that has to do with numbers, that's a weakness of mine, but it's something I'm going to have to work on when it comes to Star Wars, because there's a few numbers in there.
So it's all on Matthew. The ball's in his court. You can see this home. Last Jedi is his 5-pointer, who's the commanding officer on the Dreadnought, looking to destroy the base. Hits a repeat, doesn't pull Captain Kennedy, and we are going to sudden death. Did you think you were dead in the water and waiting for your winner and your winner by way of winning to come up?
Yeah, I really was. And that was the second time during that match that happened. It happened in round 2 when I missed that one question. I thought, this is Star Wars. I cannot do that. He's going to go perfect in round 2, and then I'm not going to be able to catch up. So yeah, it happened there in round 2. I got a new wind, and it happened again with the 5-pointer. I really thought that he had it, but fortunately for me, he wasn't able to pull the right answer, Captain Kennedy. So yeah, and he said it as well. Ken Knapsack, he's not going to be happy about that. It's one of his favorites.
So listen, let's wrap this up. Sudden death, question 1. What title does Newt Trunway hold in the Phantom Menace? Matthew says Ambassador, you say Viceroy, and your winner 21-20 gets the job done. And listen, where do we go from here, JC?
Yeah, obviously. He's 1-0. I'm 1-0. Let's do it. Unless there's someone else who wants to challenge me out there.
Maybe a little live event in the cantina might be see if we can get you a little plane over COVID safely, of course.
Love that. I'll make the trip. Definitely.
Andrew, it's unfortunate for Matthew. He's 0-2, but it's definitely not a reflection on the level of knowledge that the guy has.
No, definitely not. As we say sometimes about competitors, that their record doesn't reflect how good they are at the game. And in Matthew's case, that is absolutely true. From the 2 matches we've seen, close fights, a lot of knowledge on display, just some bad luck coming out and taking him down. And it's not all just luck. However, you have another competitor coming in against you, and that competitor, when they play well, I will say this about both of you today, Kat, Sonny. We talked to a lot of people on the show, and everybody from the FCL has obviously been a delight to speak to. We've really gotten a great reception from everyone, but it's rare that we've had guests on who, when they speak, I get so much of a sense that you're really taking the strategy of the game seriously. And both of you are thinking about that during your matches. You're dropping down to multiple choice in order to reduce the points, making sure that you take your repeats, making sure that you throw a challenge out when you can. And like you did, Sonny, and this is, I think, maybe your best move of the matchup, you don't know the answer to a very difficult numbers question. I think if you're going to ask C-3PO odds, you ask about the asteroid belt. Maybe it's just me. I think some people might get that one, but it's a near impossible question. So what do? Do you say, as many competitors would, I just don't know? As we even saw Keetin do in the previous match, taking questions and answering, I don't know? No. You take a guess. Is it 1 in a million? Yes, it is, but that 1 in a million might just come up. So there's an incredibly solid match being played against Matthew, who I think just fought as hard as he could, got all the way to sudden death, and then misses in one question. That's how quick it is. That's how soon it can be over. Matthew, your record does not represent you. I will repeat that again. Your record does not represent your level of talent. Clearly, we're going to see you coming back and doing some damage against some other competitors in the division. But for right now, the thing that matters, the thing that always matters at the end of the match, how you got there doesn't matter. What you answered right doesn't matter. Who got the W? And in this case, as it was with both the matches and both of our guests today, you get the victory. Sonny, congratulations on that. You're moving on to bigger, brighter things in the Star Wars division. And I'll help you out just if I can with those numbers questions. You say they might be a little difficult for you. I believe it's the first order. Is it first order? That's correct.
First order, final order, first order, both.
It's one of them.
I think you're right. You think you're right.
Listen, a fantastic week's matches. It is great to see Team Europe, if you will, get the 2 Ws to bring home. And with that, let's look forward to what's going to happen next week with the FCL.
Well, we've talked about everything that happened this week on the FCL. We've talked about the matches, the debut of Kat coming into the league, looking very impressive, as we said, and of course, Sonny coming in and getting a great victory in the Star Wars division. So we had Star Wars, we had Innergeekdom, and next week in the FCL, we've got 2 announced matches. One of them will be in one of those divisions. That's right, Innergeekdom division returns next week. We will be seeing Well, here's a couple competitors we've seen before and a couple competitors we've talked about on this show quite a bit. First off, we have Elena Jordan. Obviously, we've been wishing her well, a little bit of recovery from a medical situation, and so glad to see her returning. Another person like Keetin Marchi with a great attitude, a great love of the game, and you can see it shining through. And on the other side, well, not exactly the same story. You're familiar with this person, Sonny, James Schmoedown, known as the Sinister One, could not be more different. You have the Punisher telling her jokes, and you have Schmoedown preaching his sermons. This is going to be an interesting matchup, especially with the added twist of it being Innergeekdom, a field in which both of these competitors definitely want to make a strong showing. Keith, any thoughts?
I think it's great that Schmoedown finally gets to start his journey to being the simultaneous IG Star Wars champion from the comfort of his grandmother's chair. I think that Elena's debut originally in the Schmoedown was in IG. I think based on her match against Chris Adams, like IG was kind of where she was getting her points. I think that this match for me is going to be, can Elena put the puns to one side and focus a little bit more to kind of get those answers and kind of push Schmoedown to a 5, because Schmoedown's been missing 5s, let's be honest. So let's see if she can put a bit of heat under him and see where this kind of lays out. But I think it's going to be exciting one way or another.
I agree completely. And hey, I would be remiss if I didn't go to both of our guests on this one, because I think that, Sonny, you might have some insight into one of the competitors in this. You stepped into the ring against Schmoedown, and Kat competing in Innergeekdom, and with a win under your belt, potentially one of these two with a victory could be someone you'd be looking at in the near future as a competitor. So perhaps both of you have some thoughts to share with us.
Yeah, well, when it comes to Schmoedown, I think, already said it. He can be a scary competitor, both personality-wise and knowledge-base-wise, and it is going to be extremely interesting to see in this match, like how those two are going to jive during all of that, you know, with all the puns, and then we got the sinister-ness going on as well. Yeah, two totally different worlds, but it all comes down to who knows the most about these Innergeekdom movies. And I don't know who to put my money on right now. I might be Schmoedown, but that's only because of what he's done so far, and the fact that he keeps saying that Innergeekdom is his strength. That's his division. But yeah, what about you? You're the one who might have to go up against one of those two.
Yeah, well, I'm excited, but I think I'm mostly excited just to play along, like for my back home.
Yeah.
Just to be sure that I just want to be better at this. So every chance I can get to become better, I'll take it. And especially if I have to figure out just about their strengths and weaknesses, it's also very nice to kind of read them, analyze. A lot. That's what I do. I analyze everything. So
you sure do. And I also just want to say with the Punisher, don't let go of the puns, but maybe not focus on them entirely, as you guys are saying.
Well, some good advice from both of you. I think that is absolutely going to bear out. Obviously, Kat, never hurts to watch the matches, play along, see what you've got going on, and learn a little bit about your opponents. That's a great idea with this Innergeekdom matchup. And I got to agree with you as well, Sonny. A lot of competitors get caught up in the middle of a match with things other than answering the questions. Make sure you're doing that first and come up with the puns second. Start off with them in your promos, finish the match with them, throw them in between rounds. But when you're focusing on those questions, if there's any question in your mind as to what is being asked, what is being said, or what needs to be answered, please take your time and focus on that. Well, with that being said, of course, that's not the only matchup. We've got another fantastic matchup, and you might call this one a backstage Schmoedown sort of face-off, because we've got Alex Marzonia versus Turner. These two, both names that we have seen at least a little bit of in the movie trivia Schmoedown. They do a lot of work for Christian Harloff, and now we're getting to see them here in the FCL. I believe, unless I'm somehow forgetting something, this will be our first chance to see Marzonia, Keith?
Correct, it is. I think this is an interesting fight in the sense that obviously Aaron was the editor of the Schmoedown before Nerd Chronic took over. So, like, this guy knows the Schmoedown inside and out. There's going to be no issues, knowing rules and this, that, and the other. Marzonia has played a couple of exhibition matches, and kind of think from a round 2 perspective, new releases for Alex to kind of like wrestlers in film for Aaron. I think they're both going to come out, kind of get maybe like 6-7 in the first round. Let's see where round 2 kind of lands, and then it's all on the 5s. I am curious to see if Alex has got some knowledge in him, because obviously he was picked up by Keetin the Den last season and didn't play at all. So this is kind of first opportunity in kind of a year, 18 months to see what he's got. But I am excited. I think it's good to get guys like Aaron back into the community that maybe aren't there kind of front and center, but are still involved.
Yes, a lot of family in the FCL to see, and these guys have both been around for a while. Both matches are really show up or show out for all the competitors involved, because this is the time to make a name and move forward with another important victory under your belt. FCL 16, 4 months of matches so far, and we've enjoyed being here to talk to you about every single one of them. I can't wait to check out FCL 16, but of course that's next week in the FCL, and we've been talking about this week in the FCL. I want to say thank you to our wonderful, wonderful guests, Kat and Sonny. Anytime you'd like to come back, we would be thrilled to have you, and best of luck in all your endeavors going forward. FCL is always exciting, and the two of you are definitely helping to make that just that little bit more for all of the viewers. So thank you for that. Thank you for joining us. And on the way out, now that we've talked everything this week, everything that's coming up next week, we're going to go ahead and we're going to tell you where you can find us online, should you be so interested. Obviously, I'm the Elk. I'm at Kelk Andrew. If you want to hear me tweeting about Survivor that you probably don't care about, and very little otherwise other than promoting this show, you can find me online at Kelk Andrew, KELKANDREW. Keith, where are you?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Keetin Media, and last night myself and my opening pair co-host Kyle Gavin did a live show breaking down UFC 264 Poirier v McGregor 3 this weekend, Las Vegas, Nevada. 18,000 people in the T-Mobile Arena. Great show, great live show with a couple of great live comments in. Do come along. We're trying out some new things and would love for all views and subscribers, of course. Back to you at the desk, Andrew.
All right, and our two wonderful guests, let's go ahead and give you the opportunity as well. This is it. This is the plug time, self-promotion, my favorite thing in the whole wide world. So why don't you tell us everything you've got going on and how we can follow along and see a little bit more?
Definitely. Well, I guess first off, you can find us on YouTube, Kat and Sonny. We do reactions, reviews, some live streams here and there. Right now, it's Loki time, The Bad Batch. If you're watching those shows, come watch them with us. Listen to our thoughts, get into the conversation in the comments. And then on Twitter and Instagram and Twitch, it's also Kat Sonny, where we do some stuff as well. Twitch taking a little bit of a break right now, but we'll get back to it soon and play some games over there, and come join us, have some fun. And I think that's about it. Besides, you have your own.
I have my own. Yeah. I'm just either I'm Twitter fan or Dat Twitter fan, like with the D of Dat Twitter fan, and I just do random stuff. So
random stuff and cool thoughts and
a lot of feminism. Yeah.
that too. But yeah, come follow us.
And I do recommend that you absolutely do exactly that. Follow along with them. Check out those reactions. Some great content coming out from both of you. Kat and Sonny, thank you once again. You are two competitors who I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a whole lot more of. Two real exciting names for the first class league. And of course, all that we have to do now is say thank you to you, everybody, for watching along. I'm going to go ahead and say it. You know I have to. Go ahead and give it a like, a subscribe, throw a comment on the video. We'd love to see it and respond to your thoughts about this. And thank you, as always, for joining us every week right here on This Week in the FCL. We'll be back once again next week with FCL 16. We'll talk about everything that goes down, break down all the matches, and maybe even have another special guest, our rotating little crew here. Maybe Ryan will be back. Maybe Chris will be here. Maybe I'll be taking a vacation next week. Who knows? To find out, you've got to tune in on next week on This Week in the FCL.